Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am Richard Taylor, as you know, and I'm coming to you today with a video concerning the militarization of the police and how it is a detriment to the community, mainly a certain segment of the community. And what I have here in my hand is a journal that was given to me, and you see the current sheriff, Sheriff Pierce. And this is the Law Enforcement Journal dated in 2019. So I'm going to show you some pictures to help kind of drive home the point that I want to make in this video. On this first page, you see, Sheriff Pierce. You see the now infamous Chris Worth, who was the captain. I think, who was that guy? Brian Dawson, I think that's his name, and a few other law enforcement officials. So in these pictures, they look very distinguished, and as well as they have more pictures of certain officers, the A shift, B shift, C shift, D shift, and the warrant squad. Now you see the warrant squad is dressed differently than the others. They are equipped with bulletproof vests and some other equipment. Now, this this picture is very, once again, disturbing. So here we have school resource officers, right? So if you look at these officers right here, you see school resource officers walking down the hall pointing guns. So why would school resource officers be depicted in this photo like that? Officers, especially school resource officers, are there to protect and serve. But by this posture, this stance, does it look like they are there to protect and serve? It looks like they are there to almost perform an execution or a military style SWAT action. So why would they be depicted in that manner in the school? Now here you have the aviation unit, the negotiation team, the DWI task force, and the ACE team. And on the back, now these people look like they are more in line. The Civil Division Support Services, court bailiffs. These people look like they are more in line with the mantra to protect and serve. Now, as we go on through this book, here's another picture. If you see these people right here, they're standing, I guess that's in front of the sheriff office. Now, they don't look like they are there to protect and serve. They look like they are about to go to war. They have helmets, bulletproof vests, weapons on their legs and things like that. Those things look like pictures that I see in the Army, right? And so, here you have more people sitting at the desk. And here, they have the dive team. And as you see right there, that's the now infamous Schaefer, who has been, raided by the FBI. And on this back page, here we have the K9 unit. Now, of course, anybody affiliated with the sheriff department or anybody who has ever encountered these kind of dogs, these are used in performance of warrants or chasing suspects, but most of all, they're used in the process of detecting drugs. And so we have a lot more pictures, office staff, but this is what I want to focus on with the video. Now you see these guys here. You look at that picture right there, that does not look like a police force. That looks like a military tactical unit. And if you see the vehicle in the back, that is a military style vehicle. Now, if you look at this bottom picture, These are sheriffs, mind you, to protect and serve. However, if you take this picture and place it in a desert, it is no different from, in the Black Hawk Team 6 or, the SEAL Team 6. This looked like a military effort that is going into Afghanistan or Iraq or Libya or any other countries that um, we have engaged in. Now, also, you have this right here. Once again, this is the SWAT team. These guys, once again, looking like they are about to go to war. Here you have this guy with a military-style gun, dressed in military-style gear. As you see these guys, they look like they are performing a raid on one of Saddam Hussein's son's bunker, right? But these are people who are supposed to be protecting and serving us. Now, also here, you see the use of, robotic technology. Once again, this probably is used in war to go in and scout out areas and things of that nature. Here you see, computer-style controlled or remote control devices. Don't know what those devices are used for. And once again, this is military style tactics here. Guys laying in bushes with scopes and binoculars and, the same thing here. So my point with showing the distinction of those pictures are, who are these gentlemen at war with? They're not going to war overseas, right? So who are these gentlemen, and who is this military equipment, these military tactics, these military weapons? Who are they supposed to use these items on, except for the people that they supposed to protect and serve? And this is what many feel, or many call, the militarization of the police. Now, when you're going into war, you're going in there aggressive. You're going in there and, a lot of times in war you have collateral damage. That means men, women, and children get killed. You're just going in there with one mission, and that is to accomplish your goal. So what is the goal when the Wayne County Sheriff Office dress up and use these type of tactics? Now, once again, this is in the same journal. Now, the rest of this journal focuses on drugs of abuse. This is the rest of the journal. It says drugs of abuse. It goes on to mention heroin, methadone, amphetamines, morphines, oxycodones, cocaine, LSD, methamphetamine, GHB, all of these different MDMA, that's Molly, I think. All of these, they have about 20 or so pages dedicated to drugs. So what are we supposed to take from this journal, where you see the people who are supposed to protect and serve, dressed up in military-style gear, and the rest of the book focuses on drugs? So who are they targeting? Now, we've all heard of the war on drugs, but who uses drugs or who sells drugs? Those are people. So what you're saying is you're basically engaging in a war on your own people. And that is what people consider the militarization of police. Now, let me give you an example of what police militarization consists of. It says a decades-old federal government practice of making military equipment available to state and local law enforcement departments. The initial intent was to help arm police in the war on drugs, and later to prevent terror attacks. But how many terror attacks do we have? So basically, the main reason that this was implemented, these tactics that you see, a lot of times you'll see Wayne County Sheriff Office engaged in those tactics, are basically to attack people where they feel that they're who are using drugs. Now, let me just give you an example from once again that article said decades old. So a CNN article talks about the Nixon campaign in 1968. Now, he was the first person who initiated or coined the term the war on drugs. But this is what a Nixon's White House aide said. He said, "You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black. But by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did." Now that is coming from a Nixon White House aide when asked about the futility of the war on drugs. Now back then they said public enemy number one was drugs. But the majority of the nation at that time didn't even have, drugs wasn't very prevalent in most areas of the United States. Now, of course, in the bigger cities and the more concentrated cities there were, but in his own words, he said we could vilify them night after night on the evening news. So that's what we have seen since 1968 until now. That this so-called war on drugs was basically a war on people. And this other article says, instead of helping the community, the use of hyper-aggressive tools and tactics, like you've seen in this book, hyper-aggressive tools, which were the military-style rifles, the bulletproof vests, the drones, the military-style jeeps, results in tragedy for civilians and police officers. It escalates the risk of needless violence, destroys property, and undermines individual liberties. Now, once again, if you've ever seen an officer in these type of tactics, even a regular sheriff office, you can see how a lot of times they're aggressive, especially if you exert your right to question them or, say, get off my property or whatever. These guys tend to take that as disrespect, and dressed in military gear, all of their negotiation on human compassion goes out the window. How has the militarization of police affected the nature of law enforcement? Police militarization has high effects. It has led to an increase in the use of force, erosion of trust between police and the community, and a shift towards more aggressive and confrontational approach to policing. Now, once again, police was supposed to originally, that's their mantra, is to protect and serve. But now it has shifted towards a more aggressive and confrontational approach to policing. Now, once again, you see in this book, you saw the ACE team, which is the aggressive criminal enforcement. Now, how many times have you noticed or you seen or you heard of your relative have been accosted, raided, or even attacked by the aggressive criminal enforcement unit? Now, these things are not by happenstance. Why do the police look like military? Once again, because they have been given the arm and the materials to be military. Just case in point, and I'm gonna let y'all go. Today I was at a court case. I attended a court case with a young gentleman. He had a walking staff. Now I've been to court with this guy at least 3 or 4 times. He walks into court with his walking staff, walks in and out. He said he has torn ligaments and everything. It's a medical staff, sort of like a cane. So this particular day, today, he called me and said, yeah, I'm going to trial at 2. So we walk, like I get there, and evidently he went to get lunch or something. We pull up at the same time. He walks in the door, and the first, black officer, a bailiff, whatever you call him, deputy maybe, he said, well, no, you can't bring that in. He was like, what? I just walked out the door with this. I was just in court when they told me to come back in 2. No, you can't bring this in. Now, the black officer, once again, he's calm, he's understanding. The man explaining, look, this is a medical staff. I have documentation, like legal documentation that I need this, for walking. And the guy was like, nah, it came down from the superiors that you can't bring this in. And the guy's once again explaining, who is your superior? Let me talk to him. Like, this is, and so then this other, I have to say it, white bailiff, he gets up and said, no, you're not bringing it in here. You're not bringing it in. And I'm like, whoa. Like, I said, man, you don't have to holler at him like that. And then the man addressed him as well. Like, look, this is a medical. Who is your supervisor? What is your, your badge number or whatever? He's asking him the question. No, I don't care what you say. You're not coming in. And the dude said, okay, well, let me get your badge. You can have my badge. Here it is after that. And so now I passed through the metal detectors. I just passed because I'm getting out of the way. I'm ready to go in and, do some other stuff before I go to his trial. So I walk through the metal detectors, and then it's about 2 more officers come up, But before they come up, the little short, stocky white guy walked up to him and said, what, you're not coming in. And he starts banging on the desk in front of the man. And I'm like, yo, you don't have to do that. And then that's when my guy got erected, like, yo, don't be, but he had a notebook on the counter by the metal detector. He's like, yo, man, get off my, my stuff. He didn't say that, but, and then he said, like, why are you being belligerent? Why? And he stayed calm. And the guy was like, no, I done told you, you're not bringing it. And he's calmly asking him, who told you that? Because I just left out of here. But the guy was, and I said, look, man, what you doing? You don't have to do that. You know why? You don't got to talk to the man like that. He's not giving you that same energy. So finally, I guess the sergeant came and the guy's supervisor came, and they were very calm. And so the guy asked my associate to go back, and they went back in like a separate room and talked. And I'm looking at the guy, I'm like, yo, why are you so irate? You don't have to do that. You don't have to talk to that man like that. He wasn't giving you that same energy. So I asked the black cop, I'm like, yo, what was the difference between you and him? But I know because he feels like just because that black man, I just have to say it, questioned his right to tell him he cannot bring his medical staff in. He took that as a challenge to his authority. He took that as you don't have to, you do what I say regardless of if you understand it or even if it's right or not, just because I hold this badge, I hold this position. And so the guy and the supervisor went to a room and they came out. The guy wasn't allowed to bring it, but the guy was like, literally like, look, I'm just asking for clarification. I'm just asking who told you I couldn't bring this in, and the other guy just took it to a whole nother level. So I'm looking at him, I'm like, yo, you don't have to do that, right? And so we go up, they handle the case or whatever. About 2 hours later, I come down, and the guy says, all right, man, I want to thank you, man. Thank you for keeping me calm. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I said, I understand, because I've been there before. But I said, if he would have gave you that same energy, you would have been ready to lock him up. If he would have responded with that aggression and with that yelling at you, then he would have been in contempt of court. You'd have been ready to lock him up. So how is it okay for you to do that? Where everyone else, like all of the other officers, and I commend all of the other officers for addressing the situation with understanding, with calmness, with tact. But this one particular guy, you might know the short, little stocky dude that sits behind the black guy who weighs you in when you enter in the court. That was like that is an example of the aggressive nature that policing has come to. And you wonder why that there is always a conflict, because a lot of people are not able to remain calm when somebody comes at them with that type of nature, with that type of aggression. Because once I've learned, fortunately not to do it. I'm not always there, you know what I'm saying, but I know when and where. But a lot of people are men, and men deal with respect. So if you come at me with respect, I'm going to come at you with respect. If you come at me with disrespect, loud voice, aggressive energy, that's what men do. We're going to meet you where you at, regardless if you got a badge or not. But because he had that badge, he knew that he had the upper hand and he can be aggressive as long as he won't. Because why? The law is on his side. The militarization complex is on his side. We seen the story a few years back where my brother Anthony Williams got roughed up by the school resource officer. Once again, and you see why the school resource officer jacked him up just for having a cutting tool, and he was a teacher. This is why. This is how they're being trained at the schools. Why are school resource officers being trained or being portrayed as walking through the halls like that? What kind of resource are you providing? Somebody explain it to me. Now, once again, there may be some people on the other side that will say, well, because of violence and this and that and the other. But a lot of times the police are escalating violence because of their way of approaching situations. Just like this one piece of information said, and I'll read it again. It escalates the risk of needless violence, destroys property, and undermines individual liberties. That individual liberty of that man carrying his walking staff in, like he has been doing for the past 3 times that I've came to him. Now, why all of a sudden, okay, well, no, that's considered a weapon. So in that case, a regular cane could be considered a weapon. And why not? Anything can be considered a weapon. Your telephone can be considered a weapon if you throw it at somebody. So I think that was their way, because my brother was, doing some unorthodox thing in the courtroom where, he was exerting certain rights or attempting to exert certain rights that the court is really not receptive to. I'll say that. But this, I've experienced that myself through many times. But this is what we have. Once again, we have the ACE team, the Aggressive Criminal Enforcement Team. Who do they look like? They look like a paramilitary group about to jump out of a plane. So that is why we have these attacks. That is why we have these beatings. That is why we have this aggressiveness. That is why we have, people getting beat up. Rest in peace to the the Spruill guy, and many other people getting shot, and many other people getting beat up that call me and say, okay, well, the sheriff did this, and the sheriff did that, yeah, and then I'll see a video floating around town where the sheriff literally beating up a girl, and nobody says anything because they've been trained in that military style tactical manner where they can use those tactics. And of course, if they're training you to do that, then there is no repercussion, because only thing you are doing as an officer is following and operating and carrying out the methods that you've been trained to use. So I think this definitely needs to be examined, but also we have to be aware of it. So when this officer comes to you with his chest out and telling you to get on the ground and get out the car and yelling at you, you can know, okay, this guy's in the wrong. So you remain calm and tell him, okay, now I'm not getting on the ground. I'll do whatever, but I'm not going to get on the ground. Now, you might have an officer that's going to say what and throw you on the ground. And that's when, You might have to let the chips fall where they may. But you might have an officer that realize that, wait a minute, my training is kicking in. Wait a minute, that's my humanity is leaving now. You know what I'm saying? This guy is not my enemy. This guy is not a member of the Hezbollah or Hamas or something. I know this is a regular citizen who just got a fictitious tag, or his license are suspended. I don't have to treat him like he's about to blow up the World Trade Center. But that's how they do. So, and actually, I'm supposed to meet with a guy tomorrow that talks about how the police ran into his home because of some kind of warrant that he already taken care of. This SWAT team or this aggressive team came in his home with guns drawn, destroying things because of a simple warrant that consisted of something that he had already paid off. So, I just felt, because it's funny, literally, as I was looking, somebody gave me this book, and I had some things laying around, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to throw away. And I just took a look through this book, and it just dawned on me once again, why are these sheriff officers, once again, if you missed the picture, why are they dressed in military-type gear, ready to perform military-type operations when they are supposed to be protecting and serving? 919-587-7782. You can call me with any questions, comments, or concerns about this video. But I think this is something that, they should be made aware of and realize, even y'all officers, I know they're training y'all to do that, but you don't have to do that. We are all men. And, we should all be respected as men, whether we are, in violation of the law, long as we are not, trying to harm anyone or ourselves, then we should not be treated in an aggressive manner. We should be treated with the dignity and respect that is owed to someone or from someone who is sworn to protect and serve. This does not look like that nobody, this doesn't look like protection. Does that look like protection to you? I don't think so. Nevertheless, I'm Richard Taylor. This has been another video of Taylor Public Housing. I said public housing. Taylor Housing Publishing. But but I just wanted to bring this to your attention, man, because I think it is something that America has went way left on. But we got to make it right. Peace and blessings.